Going on? This is your man Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying. And yes, I was jamming to some Chuck Brown, busting loose. And hey, this man is definitely missed. But his sound and his spirit keeps moving, keeps moving. I was actually introduced to Chuck Brown, the music, back at Towson. My man Sean Talley introduced me to Go Go. I had no idea what Go Go was. Zilch. And I'm so glad that he introduced me to Go Go. It's one of my favorites, not the favorite, but it's definitely one of my favorites. Just a fan of music. And ironically, I live where I lived, not too far from him out here in Charles County. So didn't know that. But, anyways, welcome to part two, data centers and the agitators. So, what I first wanted to say to those that are anti data center, I am not your enemy. And the reason I say that is because when I show you this slide, it's technology and those who use technology, such as myself, that feel the demand for data centers, including yourself. So let me share my screen real quick. And this isn't propaganda or misinformation or anything like that. So um, definitely apologize if you feel that way. But my thing is, if I'm lying, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. That's all I say. So if you look right here, these are the key technologies that depend on hyperscale infrastructure: are AI, cloud and computing, big data analytics, streaming media, social media and communication, cloud gaming, autonomous vehicles, and I guess that's what I say: IoT, cybersecurity, enterprise, SaaS, and apps. All right, not going into great detail. If you look right here, tell me in each category which one of these do you use? Now, if I go down this category, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I use something in every one of these categories. The name, like if you look at financial service and banks, your bank may not be up there, but your bank uses it. Healthcare and pharmaceuticals, if you have healthcare, they use it. If you have a vehicle that has any form of technology, whether it's Bluetooth and all that, you use it. If you use Uber or Lyft, you use it. Manufacturing. Now, you may not use these, but the products in which you buy from them, they use it. So guess what? You use it too. Entertainment and media. Look at that. You use it. Social media. We are actually on Facebook right now. So guess what? You are using it. Retail and commerce. I don't know about you, but I've been at least one of these. 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are just some of them. Aviation. You fly. Guess what? They depend on it. You train too, bus, they use it too. Energy and utilities. Wow. We'll get back to that. They use it. Government defense, so forth. And just for you people who say, well, no, that's not true. If you do this, XYZ, you have these companies that are at the center of hyperscale ecosystem. All right. I'm familiar with some of these. So the whole point of it is that we all use it. And you're sitting here making someone who's not necessarily opposed to data centers the enemy based on this information. So let me make my position crystal clear. This is really my last time. I'm not going to go back and forth with these agitators because apparently some of you are confused. Do I support data centers? Yes. However, I do not support data centers that are going to be in a residential area, going to drain our resources, especially our financially costing us money, and the community gets nothing back for it. That'd be a flat out no. Okay. And I would be right with you 100% if that is the case. I'm not an elected official, so I don't have to be there. But I'm telling you, because my word is my bond. People say, "Oh, you lie." Point out one, and I'm gonna give out this proposition again. I will give you $100 and donate it to your favorite charity of choice, credible charity, if you can point out a lie. a blatant lie. I just said, no, this is the truth, and a blatant lie. But until that happens, facts is facts. But what I will tell you is that I have never on any occasion demanded that people be for or against data centers. Never done that. I don't get in people's faces and say, you need to do this and do that. I've never done that. All right. But I do believe in facts. I don't believe in propaganda. I don't believe in intimidation. And I don't believe in fear mongering. Now, the funny thing is that I've been accused of that, but yet I haven't seen the evidence to produce it. Telling someone that you need to watch yourself when you're in people's personal space is really giving you some legal advice, but also giving you some common sense advice, because you're going to go against the wrong person and they're going to tell you to move and you're not. And they have a right to defend themselves. And it's not going to be pretty. And what do I mean by that? Let me show you this clip and then we'll come back to it, because it's funny. Well, I'm not gonna say it's funny, but it's interesting how you have these agitators who want to say that I'm an agitator or everybody else who's pro data center agitator. So I'll be right back.
Are you friends with Diana Sweat? Are you friends with Diana Sweat? She said good job on Facebook.
Why are you supporting Diana Sweat is supporting data centers?
She said good job.
I'll let you have
You're
that.
friends with Diana?
Are you going to get security on that?
Isn't she pro data centers? Isn't she pro data centers? Aren't you supposed to be anti-data
Hey
centers?
guys, Michaela, why are you supporting Diana Sweat? Why are you supporting Edith Patterson and Ralph Patterson? Why are you supporting all these pro data centers?
You're not even from here.
Why are you supporting all these pro data
You're not
centers?
from here. I'm back in a corner. 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 Trying to walk to my car. Trying to walk to my car. This is really embarrassing. Trying to walk to my car. And this is the harassment and the threat behavior that we speak on. This is the harassment and the threat behavior that I have to deal with. It's crack cocaine. Let's go. Let's go. Can we go? We have it on Facebook. We have evidence that you are friends with Diana. They're trying to get you arrested. They're trying to get you arrested. In my personal space. Please do not get in my face. I'm recording for my safety, and you are now following to my car. What?
Why are y'all behind me? Why are you trying to paint violent? Why are you trying
You both are violent. You both put me in a corner inside that room. I have a video. You both cornered me. You're out of my face. You both are violent. You are both violent. You are both violent.
All right, y'all. You saw what I saw. And for those who don't know, that was Michaela Wilkes, who is running for Charles County Commissioner District 3. And she was confronted by anti-data center folks. I believe her name is Alana Davis and Jake Burdett. And of course, according to them, all they doing was exercising their constitutional right to ask questions. But if you notice the proximity in which they did it with the phones, and I'm not sure who this Jake Burdett cat is, but I have to ask, wouldn't it be interesting if he was invading her personal space in a county building, right? And then what if he got pushed? Whose fault it would have been hers or his? Now, put that same situation, say if he did it, say to me, I probably would have said, look, get the phone out my face. I'm going to go to the right or go to the left. And he chooses to follow me. Then guess what? That would be on him. I advise no one not to do that, because if someone is trying to move and go somewhere, you're invading their space. And I don't know where the degree of common sense comes in or even street smarts, but that is not something you do. Michaela Wilkes, you exercise the highest level of restraint because I know you. I know deep down inside you was like, geez, but you kept it cool. Shout out to Charles County Security for keeping things somewhat in order. And it looked like Carlos was trying to keep things, but people, these are the ones who are trying to call me an agitator. Where have you ever seen me do that? Never, right? But anyways, I don't have time to deal with it. I just want to say that about these little young bucks. But um, but when you look at it, I don't have an issue with people that oppose data centers. I actually think they're legitimate concerns, and they need to be heard. But if you're going to have this conversation, my thing is be honest about it. You, when you are absolutely against data centers, I mean, just totally against data centers, then you also need to acknowledge that driving demand for them. And I already showed that, like Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, as you're on here right now, depends on hyperscale data centers. Your cell phone carrier, you know, that same cell phone, Jake and Alana, that you dropped a push in Michaela's face, it depends on hyperscale data centers. The technology that we use every single day requires enormous amount of infrastructure behind the scenes. So basically, it relies on us, but yet you use it. So I find it odd when people say, "Oh, you're using these AI images." I said, "Okay, that's just one. That's one source that depends on hyperscale, but I gave you tons of them. But you can't tell me that you want all these things while pretending there isn't a need for the infrastructure that supports them." Now I get it. You don't want them here, but that's why I believe there has to be common ground. And maybe on a task force, but no one needs to walk into a room loving data centers. All right. So, but you need to be willing to listen. You need to ask questions, look at the facts, and work on solutions. Because let's say a data center does come to Charles County. What then? Do you want somebody at the table who refuses to participate because they're completely opposed to data centers? Or do you want somebody sitting there fighting for stronger protections, responsible locations, protection of our water, natural resources, and making sure residents aren't left carrying out? That's my whole point. I'm not asking anybody to change their position. I'm not asking whether or not you're willing to have a voice in the process. Because if you're unwilling to listen to anything that doesn't agree with your position, then you really don't have much of a voice when the decisions are actually made. And before anybody accuses me of fear mongering, propaganda, or intimidation, bring the receipts. Show me exactly what I said. Show me exactly what I did. I'll do the same. I have no problem being challenged. But what I have a problem with is being accused of something without a single piece of evidence to back it up. I would rather sit at the table and fight for Charles County than stand outside the room yelling, jamming phones in people's face after the decision has already been made. Really, the choice is yours. But hey, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. So catch me on the next episode. Well, I'm sorry, next part, where I'm going to be talking about the watershed district. I'm sorry, watershed conservation district, particularly District 2. But before I leave, I just want to show you one other thing. And then I'm going to call it a wrap. Because like anything, there are pros and cons. And I think that everyone should be aware of this. So we have a lot to deal with. But regardless of what we come, the result that we come to, we got to make educated, sound, factual decisions. But until then, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying